right. Did that talk rock or what? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Rock. Whew. All right. Show of hands. How many here run a smart up company, a startup, a smart up startup? Yep. And how many of you are looking for funding or advice on attracting funding from VCs? This is what the growth stage is all about this afternoon, is getting some advice from those who have made it. And I think you're going to find this next talk very inspiring. Our next founder moved from India to Singapore to create his company. And incredibly, he slept in the airport to save money before his company was successful. To discuss the growth of Deskera, a cloud-based business software provider, please welcome CEO and co-founder Shashank Dixit to the stage.
Hi guys, I'm Shashank. I respond best to questions and interaction. I don't usually do slides, but I have a few slides for you. I would love if you have any questions for me. I'll wrap this up in like 2 minutes, but I have probably 10 minutes to speak. So if you have questions, I would love to take some questions and make it more interactive. I run Deskera. I founded this in my dorm room in India. And our goal is to put 1 billion people on cloud. If we do that, 1 billion people on cloud as a B2B application, we will be the first company. There's nobody who has 100 million in cloud today, so that's a very ambitious target. I work from Asia. My base is Singapore. Asia is very unique. Asia has a lot of people. Singapore is in the middle of Southeast Asia, and it's a very unique country. 4-hour flight time, you meet 4 billion people. I think it's the only first world country where you can fly off from an airport and have access to 4 billion people and about 110 million SMEs. The 110 million SMEs that I talk about are outside of China. So this doesn't include China. China is a whole beast. We'll have a small slide on China. We'll talk about China in a short while, but this is outside of China. So this is Asia minus China. The number of SMEs in this part of the world are 3 times of North America. So you know how big the market is, how big the opportunity is, and what we are trying to do. Now, the major countries outside of China in Asia are Indonesia, India, and rest of countries in ASEAN. There are about 10 countries in ASEAN. And every single one of these SMEs has a problem. They need to go digital. You won't believe I said 110 million SMEs. Just take a guess how many of these SMEs have computers, just desktops or laptops. The number is less than 10 billion. So 10% of these SMEs have computers. Forget about software, forget about Excel sheets, forget about applications. 10% have computers, but 100% of these SMEs have a phone. They have a smartphone as powerful as your phone, and they are connected on the internet. Why do they need to go digital? They need to go digital because the world is changing. India just launched GST. GST is a nationwide tax that can only be filed online. Indonesia has a system where you have to file some part of your taxes online. But besides that, besides taxes, if you go to a bank in Southeast Asia or any part of the world and ask for a loan, you're required to show your finances. You're required to show a lot of transactions. Banks are now getting increasingly active on fintech. So they'll ask you for data. And the more data you have, obviously, the better deal you get. So you need data. You need to have a system to get the data out. You need to have a system to get any funding. You have competition. If you need to sell online, which 100% of these SMEs are now planning to do or are in the process to do, you need to have a system. You need to have an application. And of course, you need some reports, you need insights. There are costs. You can save more on costs if you have a system. So every single one of these SMEs is eventually going to have a platform that they work on. And Asia is different, so it's growing faster, about double the speed of US. I'll just take a small pause here and talk about China. So there's a company in China that does this. There's just part of this, not entirely, but part of this. That company is called as Alibaba. That company sells a front end for SMEs, but they give entire back end. They have an application that is very extensive on the back end side. It's the biggest SaaS company. If you ask me, the biggest SaaS company in the world is not Salesforce, it's Alibaba. And they do it in China. And as you can see, that's the scale that we are talking about. How are we going to change SMEs in Asia? Now, that's where we come in. That's where our expertise comes in. When I was selling door to door, the difference in the Indian, Asian, Southeast Asian market and the American market or the Western market is we don't know the definition of an ERP. Like if you go out and walk down this hallway, you'll see people selling software. When you have somebody selling CRM here, you have somebody selling accounting there. The problem is you need to know what an accounting software can do before you can buy the software. People in Asia have no idea. When I used to sell an accounting software, I went to an SME and I used to sell door to door, like literally door to door. I used to land in Singapore, go to industrial park and like sell door to door, like one guy sell next guy and so on. The first guy I went to, I said, look, I have an accounting software. I have a software that can do accounting and can manage inventory. And the guy on the other side, on the other end would say, yeah, perfect. We need accounting software. We need accounting. We need, inventory. We need this software to help me run my business. Does it do my payroll? And my answer would be no. ERP is not supposed to do payroll. You got to buy payroll separately. So he would kick me out. He would say, get lost. I don't have time to talk to 5 vendors. So I go back to India, write the software for payroll. I come back again 6 months later. I say, look, I have payroll now. And the guy used to say, perfect, this does my payroll. Perfect. Just sit down, take a seat. Does it do my sales? Can it do my sales campaigns? I said, dude, that's CRM. But you can't expect CRM in payroll. He said, no, I don't care. I don't care because I don't know the boundaries of ERP. Because I don't know the boundaries of CRM. I don't know the boundaries of payroll. I don't care about what you call it. So everyone here in these booths selling CRM expect you to be smart about software, expect you to know what a software can do. The good thing and the bad thing about Asian SMEs is they're very demanding and they don't listen. So they don't care about what your software can do. So my software ended up doing everything that an SME needs, everything that we thought an SME needs. So it does full ERP, it does full accounting, it does cash flow, it does payroll, manage staff, CRM, train staff, tax filing, time management. It does everything. These are the products, these are the blocks of products that we identify them as in Western world. I do everything out of the box. Now, the funny thing is, Alibaba does the same as well. And we don't know that. Alibaba has a very good ERP. Now, I'm not here to sell Alibaba. I'm just saying I was inspired by how they sell that. So I have a shop front end that you can set up your shop on and sell. And that's a product that you have to buy separately in US from different vendors if you are in the market. But in my case, I do that out of the box. And I think that's both a good thing about Asia and a bad thing about Asia. The good thing is, you can scale if you have everything, and the bad thing is you need everything. So I'm probably the only company that does that in Asia. There's nobody else that we compete with in the market that we are in. But what is Deskera? Deskera is an opportunity. By 2025, there will be 125 million SMEs. That'll be on my platform. And I'll be the platform that they run their business on. I'll be the largest B2B SaaS company in the world. And I look forward to that. So we will be Asia's only super business app. We are still the only business super app. Sorry, not super business app. And just spending a minute on this slide. If I help my SMEs today, just send one more invoice, and if they send 100 invoices in a month, and I help them send one more invoice in 1 month, I add 1% to the GDP of my country. That's the amount of effect SMEs have on a GDP. 90% of all the jobs, 90% of all the GDP comes from SMEs. So if I have a platform that helps my SME increase their revenue by 1%, I add 1% to the GDP. So imagine India, imagine Indonesia, imagine these places. I become the foundation of economy. And I think that's what has happened with China and Alibaba, that a software became so powerful, so helpful for SMEs, that they became integral to the whole economy. And the data that you have, the access that you have with SMEs, you can do a lot more. For instance, if I reduce just 10% of invoices being sent on paper, I can save a rainforest. My SMEs don't use, I told you, they don't use computers, they use paper and pen. They're printing invoices on paper.